no need for a plan. Every hour was golden, slipping through my hand. I hear that echo in the breeze. It whispers my name, takes me back with ease. Oh, I miss being young, where the world felt wide. Every corner I turned was a magic ride. Life was a song, every note rang true. Tell me, how do I get back to the groove? Roller skates on, jukebox blaring loud. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Ooh. Dancing in the park, we were kings of the crowd. Neon lights flashing, dreams in the air, no weight on my shoulders, no burden to bear. The rhythm of time, it keeps moving fast, but I'm stuck in the chorus of my past. I miss being young, where the world felt wide. Every corner I turned was a magic ride. Life was a song, every note rang true. Tell me, how do I get back to the groove?
Hey, what's up? In this video, we're going to cover how to use the Back to the Groove band mocap in Unreal Engine 5 with 4 MetaHumans to make the music video that you saw here. This animation set could certainly be used for other music videos, but, so that we can give like a really strong place to get started doing this, we're going to include this audio track. And each animation for the singer, guitar, bass, and drums is the full animation. So there's no looping or anything like that. This is just a full performance synced to this song. But it does require a little bit of work in Unreal Engine. And let's go check that out. And this is the instrument set that I'm using from Fab. I got this from a very long time ago. And I'm specifically using the regular guitar, bass guitar, but you'll see why for the drums that drums, like generic drums like this, if you're using mocap or just in general, they don't really work. So I'm actually going to be producing my own like customizable drum set that accepts mocap and will just work a lot better for the type of animation that I'm producing for narrative motion. So to start, we're going to import the 4 animations. They will be named differently. This was kind of my test, but we basically have the narrative motion, singer, bass, guitar, and drums. And we're going to want to retarget this to the MetaHumans, and MetaHumans quite frequently their bodies only have their hands showing or something like that. But this is the retarget. To do that, we don't have to do anything too special in this case, but we do want to switch this to Manny, please, not Quinn, and switch this to your MetaHuman's body. The next thing we're going to want to do is import the audio. So this will be the song that comes with it. And you're just going to load that into a MetaHuman performance. You go to MetaHuman, MetaHuman performances. I'm going to open this up. Might take a second. So here we are in the MetaHuman performance. I've already calculated mine or processed mine, but you're going to want to switch this to audio, put in the Back to the Groove song, and then choose your MetaHuman face and hit process. It's insanely easy. I can't believe it, to be honest. It's pretty wild. And the one thing I've done is for solve overrides, I've just changed the mood to happy the entire time versus auto detect. And what you can do is actually process this multiple times with the different emotions, and then you blend those animations later. I'm not going to show that. And you could also add additive mocap face stuff with the phone. That's sort of like its own process. But anyway, for the music, for the sake of just this music video demo and how you might approach your own custom music videos, just chuck the song in here and see what you get from these different animations. Hit export, and something that's important when you export it, or hit process then export, is when you do this, I'm going to hopefully cancel this, I'll say 2. When you export this, make sure that you turn off the head movement, because we don't want that. The head movement's entirely coming from the body. This will mess things up. So that's the process for getting the face animation from the included song. So let's start by getting all 4 MetaHumans in and synced to the song. So that'll take just a little bit of work. Let's select all 4 MetaHumans. If your computer is not the strongest, this process might be kind of rough overall. 4 MetaHumans can be a little spicy with 4 grooms. You can certainly switch to like non-real-time viewport, turn your scalability settings down here to like low. Mine are pretty low already. And turn off lighting if you want. Go to like unlit or something like that. I'm just going to leave it lit. So we have all of our MetaHumans, and we're just going to delete all these control rigs one at a time. Is that all of them? I think so. Great. So let's go ahead and bring the song in. I'm going to do an audio track. We will do clock source now, and we'll say groove. Back to the groove. So I have a 16-bar countdown, and you'll see that when I'm performing the mocap, that is how I'm syncing to it for now. So I'm just going to put this at the end, and this is about 182 seconds. It's like 2 minutes and like 40 seconds or something like that. Okay, so that's playing back the audio, which is going to be pretty rough. I'm going to mute that for now. So we're going to sync the animations to this 16-bar countdown. I basically move my arms to the last 8 beats here. So we'll start with the singer, and let's go to body. And yours will be named a little bit differently because they're like officially part of narrative motion, but when I was processing it, this was the name. So here's the singer's animation. And let's just take a peek at what's happening with this. So you'll see that my arm starts out. That's going to be our 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the lo-fi way I'm syncing this for now. So typical metronome from ChatGPT actually, but the first beat here is going to be a little bit higher pitched. Where is it? So it's this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the countdown. So I'm just going to roll this head in here. I'm going to do 30 frames per second for sanity. 60 is a lot. So despite hearing the sound, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to do Control / to break that clip. And we just want to manually slide. Oh, goodness. I'm going to turn off this audio. I'm going to manually slide this animation so that the arm hits like full extension here on 1, and then we can listen back. Little behind. Again, this is a human performance here, so it's hard to say who's exactly on. But that's the way that I'm syncing these animations for now.
Man, I used to run.
Right. So let's do the same process for the other animations, and then we'll have the band bodies completely synced up. Where is it? We're going to snap to this click track here, and we just want to have the arm coming out like full extension at 1. Boom, something like that. And then you can tweak this timing a little bit later to your taste and see how it goes. Or if you're using your song, you're going to have to adjust the animation speed to try to sync it up. This song is 102 beats per minute as well. Drums. So we're just going to do the exact same thing. Where's our drummer? He's back there. So we'll just move our playhead to the audio breakpoint. Oh, there it is. Here, it's like selected. And we'll just move our drummer so that his hand is basically extended at the 1 count. And here we are with our bass player. Boom. Okay. So for now, we'll call it and say that it's close enough sync, but spend a little time and just mush those around until you have the 8 track synced up pretty well. And then you'll see with the drummer is really the one where you can tell mechanically like if they're actually in sync or not. So let's listen to this with the audio. Singer's a little ahead. Okay, so the body mocap is synced up. Okay, so we've synced all of their animations to the song to the best we can. And now let's go ahead and put a guitar and bass into our character's hands. So I'm going to go to unlit. We'll see if this is like a little bit easier to read. The lighting's like a little bit dark right now. So we're going to take our regular guitar, our electric guitar, and I'm going to throw it into the scene here and then just zero out its transform. So it's at the center of the world, wherever that is. It's where the singer is. Cool. And what we want to do is attach this guitar to our MetaHuman. And I'll show the way that I approach it. You can obviously do this however you think is best, but we're going to do attach to guitar, body, and I'm going to do spine 4, which just does have a bit of animation on it. And so our attached track spawned in like the middle here where our playhead was. So just drag this all the way through so that it's always there. So this is a pretty good pose. But what I'm going to do is do it from here, which is not ideal. So I'm actually going to do the placement here like this and then kind of move it back in a second before I do the actual attach. So spend a little time here. And what you're looking to do, in my opinion here, I'm going to get off of snapping, is you really want to land the placement of the guitar against the body here. And then you want to get the rotation on this axis to the hand. And then we want to get it so that the frets that he's strumming on, like the actual strings there. And it won't be perfect, especially depending on the size of your MetaHuman. If they're like a child, this guitar is going to be massive for them, and that just doesn't work. And if they're huge, like really, really tall or like much, thicker, you're going to have problems because this was recorded by me and I'm, more or less of this body type, just so you know, this is coming from MOCAP. And so the closer your character is to basically my body, the better it'll look. However, you can do adjustments to make this animation work. The point of like MOCAP is that the big body motion is there and you can retarget it, tweak it to make it fit. But if you're wanting to have an easy win with this MOCAP set, if they're close to this body type, it'll work out better. So something like this, not too crazy. We want to get the hand close, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that looks pretty good. So what you'll see is that eventually the fret hand, it's actually staying right on there. I performed it particularly to not move very much, but eventually you'll see that the left hand disconnects from the frets. The way I performed it, I was like, do not move your hand. That was kind of my operation there, but it actually is pretty perfect. But you'll find situations where the hand is disconnecting. It's actually staying on there pretty well. So I'm trying to, but take my word for it. There it is. Okay. Like eventually the hand's going to disconnect, right? So we have a way of approaching that. So let's do that now. This one so in this case, for instance, right, like the hand's not on there at all. So what we're going to do is attach the hand to the guitar fretboard. So let's go to our guitarist here, our guitar player, and we're going to go to body, and we want to, just to be safe, make sure the playhead's at the front of the scene here. We're going to go to body, and we're going to click this plus button. We're going to do a layered control rig. What happened? There's two plus signs right on top of each other. Let's do the MetaHuman control rig like that. So now we have this animation rig on top of it. Right, cool. So what we're going to do then is go to our global control and make sure that we turn on these two buttons. I have auto key on. I would suggest doing that too. And then key this here. Boom. So now we have IK hands. And then next, we're going to do some parenting. And 5.7 is a little bit different and better laid out, but this is 5.6, which is like kind of the version that I trust right now. We're going to go to animation. I'm going to right click this and do untap, undock. And we're going to go and do some parent stuff here. So we're going to do, the parent is going to be this guitar here. So can I click this? And we're going to go find our guitar electric. So I put a socket on it. You don't have to do this, but you could. But I put a socket on the neck bone. But we're going to just do it to the entire guitar for now. And then we're going to do selected. So what we want to do is make sure the playhead's at the front. We're going to click the left hand control. And we're going to parent it to the guitar. And click. And we're going to do parent constraint. So now the hand should completely follow it. They're not spawnables. That's fine for now. And what we're going to do then is, am I in local or parent? I'm actually going to maybe switch this to world space. Maybe we'll do local. And we just want to place the hand here now, again, from the front here. So once we do this, it should maintain this offset for the entire performance. And then if you're, a very technical and musically technical animator as well, you could position the hands to be the correct chords and then move this up and down the fretboard. You might want to use a socket in parent space at that point, so it's an easy animate up and down the fretboard, but I'm not going to cover that. That is way more technical to try to get the fingers to even like roughly match the chords and follow the fret. The neck here, that takes quite a bit more work, so I don't want to jump into that just yet, but for a real music video, it's usually worth the time, I think. So now if we do this, you'll see that the hand should be basically perfectly snapped onto the neck. And then if you wanted now with it parented, you could just animate the hand up and down doing the chord changes and whatnot, but that would take a lot of work and knowledge of music and whatnot. But that's the process of getting the guitar onto the MetaHuman. We'll play it back just a little bit to see. He's sort of supposed to be in the dark. I didn't really like this character for this scene. But, using... attaching the guitar to the MetaHuman and then attaching the hand to the fret, it's pretty easy.
No shoes on my feet. Hey. The sun was my cloud.
So at this point, we could also do some small adjustments to the hand and get this a little bit closer to that. But for now, this is like, let's call this the rough-in. And it's certainly enough if it's sort of just like a background guitar player like that. So do the same exact process for the bass player, and we'll move on to the drummer now. With drumming animations in general, there's no generic drum set off of the marketplace that's going to fit where they are. So you have to care and know a little bit about drums to do this right. And so I've basically just taken this for now, this barrel from this set, and I've turned it into drums. I've just scaled it and put them in the right places. But I just want to show this process specifically for getting the drums right, especially if you don't play the drums yourself. And this is sort of like a bewildering process to you. So let's go ahead and look at our drumsticks here. They are just dupes of the snare drum. So they're just scaled cylinders, right? But they're not scaled correctly, even close. So I'm going to just do this and bring them back out. So there's just two cylinders. So you could just grab like a cylinder out of here if you wanted. Where are the shapes? You could just use like this cylinder as well, but I'm just going to use this one for now. And so what we want to do is attach these to the drummer's hands and then scale them and offset them, and that's it. But I just want to give a couple tips on doing that for this animation itself. So let's go ahead and bring in stick L here. I don't think it matters. Actually, I am going to bring this to the head just to be safe. So we'll bring in stick L and we'll bring in stick R. Again, they're just two cylinders. And pretty straightforward. We're going to click drumstick L and we're going to attach it to the drummer, body, hand, L. And then reset the offset. Why is that so far off over there? Oh, and then we'll reset the transform. So there it is. A gigantic, barrel attached to his hand. And then where's drumstick R? Where did that thing go? Oh, it's at the origin, right? And we're going to do the same thing for the other drumstick. Let's do drumstick, attach, not singer. Oops. Let's do drumstick, attach, drummer, body, and this will be hand R. And the transform's already reset. So great. So we can look at this sort of like ridiculous animation. I'm going to go mute the audio if it's not already. And we have like gigantic inverted drumsticks, right? So not the best. So, I mean, ideally you have 3D model drumsticks from somewhere. You can make them yourself. But in the case you're doing something silly like this with some sort of prop, which I think is kind of fun. I tend to do this a lot with my drum stuff, is just like kind of randomly make things into drumsticks. But I'm going to do 0.05 on X and Y to make it thinner. And it's probably more like 0.04. 0.04, and then we'll just scale it in this axis. I'm going to say 0.4. So that's roughly, I think, what I did for this. So let's talk about the right hand for this animation set only. In this song, I performed it so he only performs on the hi-hat. He never goes to a rad cymbal because I'm going to start mocapping the rad cymbal, tracking it. And I don't do any fills and I don't do any like crash cymbals. I just wanted like a straight ahead kind of reusable drum loop that does match this song. So it's very generic on the drums, but we do want to line this up. So we want to go to transform, hit key, and we want to get the drumstick in the right place. So I'm going to switch this to, are you local? You are local. So what we want to do is rotate this like this so that the y-axis or axis, doesn't really matter, is pointed towards this hi-hat. And you have to kind of find these placements. Again, when you retarget your MetaHuman, your character will be shorter, taller, different length arms, and this will be slightly different, but this should be the same process. So line up this so that it's kind of following the arm here. So it's like an extension of the arm, right? Get this lined up. And then what you want to do is sort of find the deepest part of the animation where the hand goes all the way through. Right, so this is close, and I'm just kind of scrubbing through, so I can kind of see like right there it is, there. I can see that the stick is through the cymbal. So we would just kind of bring this up here. This is how I'm going to approach this. We certainly can track the animation of the drumsticks themselves. However, the retargeting process of the MetaHuman is far more complicated. To get the hands to stick to the drumsticks, that is not simple. So this is the simplest approach for drums, and it works out in most cases. So what we have now is our drumstick that for the most part is going to make sense. If you're going in for close-ups of the hands or the cymbals, the drum hitting the cymbal, you might have a little bit more work. And in that case, we might consider tracking the drumstick itself. But for these kind of like generic drum animations that making for mocap, that's usually not worth the effort. So let's do the other drumstick. And if we remember the settings, it's like 0.04, 0.04, and 0.4. And it's a similar idea here. So we could snap, but I'm just not going to. We basically want this drumstick, the way that I've been performing it anyway, I'm doing like matched grip here, is we want the drumstick to be aligned with the arm, like it's an extension of the arm. And then we want to line up this axis so that it's up and down, sort of rotating, if that makes sense, like perpendicular to the arm on that plane there. And then we just want to bring this up so that the drumstick doesn't go through the snare drum. So if you're moving your snare drum wherever that is, this might be different. But this is sort of the methodology when it comes to attaching drumsticks that are performed with mocap. And I'm telling you how I performed the drumming. If they're coming from animation and whatnot, there's different thoughts. But from mocap, when you're performing with this grip of drumsticks, this is how you want the sticks to be coming out of the hands. And so just similar, just try to find find the good snare hits. Like, let's turn on the audio for this bit here. Okay, so in this case, I guess it's showing that the stick is through the drum, so we don't really want that. It could be like a little bit inside of it. And this will again depend on the 3D drum you use and your final retarget to the MetaHuman. You can now, if you don't like things about this performance, you could bake a control rig to this, or not bake, do a layer control rig and move the hand up, and it'll consistently play the cymbal up here or lower. It depends on how big your drum set is, but you could then add a control rig once you've done this to the sticks to this to match a pre-existing drum set. But ideally, if this is like a serious music video, you need a modular drum set, but I know there's not many of those out there. So I'm going to be finishing up the modular drum set I've been making and make that available as well. But let's play this back a little bit, see how it feels.
Full of dreams, no shoes on my feet. Hey. The sun was my cloud.
So pretty good. If from here, again, you want to get like serious about this, there's a lot of occlusion when I perform drums. So the fingers are not like perfect, but they're certainly close, and the wrist and the hand solve is very good, which is what you're attaching the drumsticks to. But if you want to go in here, add a control rig and just like tighten up the fingers, like add a layer control rig, tighten up the fingers, blah, 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 that'll be fine. However, you really want to weigh if that's worth your time. If your drummer is just basically always like this in the background and out of focus, and like you really just do like a couple little shots of them like this, you're gonna, with motion blur and lighting, it's like, and camera movement, it's like, that's usually fine. However, if it's like you are a drummer and you care and you like want this to be perfect and you're gonna do shots like this, go clean up the fingers. So that's the general process of assembling Back to the Groove. And the general methodology for attaching guitars, attaching the hand to the fretboard, you can then go animate the hand. And this is the idea with the drumsticks. Again, you want to line them up with the arms themselves for the way that I'm performing. And in one of the next performances I'm making, the singer is holding a microphone. It's very similar to the drumsticks. And then we're going to be doing piano and some different stuff like that. And every time there's like a new type of musical mocap animation, I'll make a video kind of showing my process of getting everything to line up with the instruments. So that wraps up for this video, and I'd love to see any work you do with this. If you're using this song even just for fun, or you adapt this mocap to another song and make a little clip or music video, we'll love to see that. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.